okay, so you've got spooky sips. She's like, what about sexy sips? What about like, she's like,
we're branching out.
Sexy sips. Sexy sips. I love it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Hello, and welcome to Spooky Sips, where we put our love of horror movies into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Yvette. I'm here with my co-hosts, Laura and Brianna.
Hello.
Hey. Oh, wait. I'm the one that goes next.
Oi. Did you just say oi?
Oy vey!
Oi.
Okay, hang on. Whoa. What are we doing?
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
Okay, so we just watched M3GAN. We went to the movie theater this week for you guys, and we just went and saw M3GAN. It's a movie about a little girl that loses her parents in a tragic accident. She goes to live with her aunt, who happens to work at a really cool toy factory and make these like really advanced technological toys. And she makes this prototype of this robot child, essentially, that is the new play friend for her little niece. And basically that's the movie. And some shit goes down along the way. And that's M3GAN.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep.
So to start off the movie, I have to say the opening scene to the movie totally got me, because we're already in the movie theater and where you're seeing like previews and then random commercials. I actually turned to Brianna when the movie opened and I was like, another commercial.
Oh,
But
you
it was
thought
the
it was
first-
like an actual
We
ad?
thought it was an actual
For the
ad.
first like 5 seconds I did.
Yep.
So it totally got me.
Yep. It worked.
Oh, it's so good, especially because all of the previews before, they're like, oh, you're here to see a horror movie. Let's show you a bunch of horror movie trailers. So like from the very beginning, it's like, oh man, like you already have a spooky setup.
Yeah.
I forget what movie it was that they had a trailer for before, but it was like very spooky, you know, and then it just goes to this commercial. It was so funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like such a
So
jarring difference.
For the perpetual pets.
Yes.
my
Oh, I forgot what they
gosh.
were called. It was like the Furby, like
I mean, it was
Yeah.
essentially
animal, it
a,
was.
a 2023 version of a Furby.
Oh no, it's so good. It just perfectly set up what was coming in the movie. I think.
Yes.
You
The
know,
humor of the movie too. Yeah.
Yeah, where it was like, yeah, you're about to get some humor, you're about to get a horror movie. It perfectly set you up for what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
And then, I mean, right at the beginning, we get our first deaths.
Yes. And it's fast and
Yeah.
they just get down and dirty real quick and kill the parents.
Yep.
Bam. Wham, bam.
That's it.
Done. Yep. Yeah. So those are our first 2 deaths of the movie.
Yeah.
Look like a
So
snow plow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
right.
intense.
we've also had so much snow lately that, I mean, that one really hit close to home because we
yeah.
had a ton of snow.
Yes.
Yeah, they're driving up this road and it almost kind of reminded me of, you know, roads that I've driven on in the snow where you're going through, you know, a canyon and it's kind of windy and you can't see anything. And the parents pull over and they're trying to, I think, take her skiing, right? They're trying to take the little
Yeah.
Ski trip.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then she had taken off her seatbelt, the little girl, to get her perpetual pet, who she's obsessed with.
Yes.
But then the parents had her put the seatbelt on right in time.
Oh,
And then she
Yep.
survived and they did not.
and then just bam, snowplow.
Yep.
Mhm.
Tragic.
Oh, so good. No, yeah. Laura, I literally had a flashback to our trip to Idaho.
Yeah.
I was like, this is basically the conditions we were driving in
100%.
the whole time. I was
My
like,
anxiety could never. I would have just died.
Yeah.
I-
Well, and so we didn't have a snowplow, but yes, the conditions were exactly the same. We're driving up this mountain. We're in our Subaru where we got chains, we have good tires.
Yeah, we were prepared.
We were prepared, but my husband was driving and you could not see where the road ended and the ditch began. And so he's kind of trying to gun it to be able to get up the hill because we're like less than a mile from the house. I think we're
So
0.9
close.
miles from the cabin we were staying in. But he goes off the road. And
Yeah.
we we're so stuck.
We just slid into a ditch. Luckily, we slid into the ditch and not, like off a cliff. So
Right.
it was all
Right.
okay. We were fine.
God,
We were fine.
Like I literally horrifying.
We
Yeah.
woke up a very nice man from his nap in his trailer who happened to have a truck, and we had all the gear for him to be able to tow us. So we were able to get out, but
yeah, it worked out very perfectly, actually.
But then we were just snowed in for 3 days because once we got there, we were not leaving.
No, it was great. But I would like immediately while they were driving, like that's where my it's like we've all been there, we've all driven in like kind of questionable conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It also made me think of the driving and the conditions in The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Think of when the family's driving up to the mountain.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. I like
definitely
that
Mhm.
similarity, I guess.
Oh. So okay, are we just diving into deaths? Should we?
Yeah, let's
should we
just
break
dive
them all
right into the
down?
deaths.
And then we can discuss the rest of the movie.
Yep.
So the next death, I guess, would be a little later down the movie after we're introduced to M3GAN. I think it would be the dog.
It would be the dog.
It would be the dog.
I mean, let me just say, I'm really glad they didn't show that death because
Mhm.
I couldn't have handled that. It was
No.
bad enough knowing.
Mhm.
I that's like a real trigger for me in a movie is a dog dying. I
Mhm.
think it's honestly a trigger for almost anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think they handled it as well as they could have.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, what is it about that, right? That we can see so many deaths and stuff,
Massacres.
but the minute you touch a pet,
no, it's over.
it's like,
I
no, I have
can't.
to look away.
I think the real answer that I would give would be that it's because pets are so pure. They love
Mhm.
you love them, whereas people can be awful.
Yeah.
Well, and there's something helpless about a pet
Yeah.
dying.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
You know,
It's like when I see a little child, like a little toddler who's just learning to walk and they're so excited and then they fall down. I just feel so bad for
so
them
sad.
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
just so innocent and pure, but it's even more so for
For a pet.
animals. If they get hurt, it crushes me.
And this scene was so good when M3GAN changes her voice to match the neighbors calling the
So
dog.
creepy.
Okay,
Mhm.
I feel like part of what I loved about this movie was it really was like a theater like experience. Like
Mhm.
everyone in the movie theater saw what was cut. Like everyone was
Yes.
like, "Oh no, okay, oh no!" Like everyone was like audibly reacting.
We
to
all
what was about to
collectively
happen.
were reacting.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes,
Oh,
totally.
so good.
And so it happened because we should say so. Okay, after the snowplow happens, and Brianna had
Mhm.
kind of mentioned in the intro, I've already forgotten the girl's name. I should probably take a
Katie.
drink for that. Katie.
Mhm.
She went to go live with her aunt. But when she's living with her aunt, there's this beef between the aunt and the neighbor because the
Mhm.
neighbor's dog is always coming into their yard.
Mhm.
And then the dog attacks Katie.
Oh yeah,
And M3GAN.
So
So yeah, the dog hurts. I think that's what like triggers
Mhm.
M3GAN's little robot brain is that the dog
Must protect.
attacks Katie. I mean, it attacks her too, but I think it attacking Katie is what like triggers
Mhm.
this response to get rid of the dog.
Yeah, because she had
Oh,
like lost a
definitely.
toy over the fence, and so the dog
Right.
bit her, and then that same night, then M3GAN goes and kills the dog.
Yep.
So good.
So
It was so good.
And then so our next death the dog owner.
No, so the next is I think the boy at
Oh
school,
my gosh,
Brandon.
okay. Yes.
I think.
You're right.
I may
Yes.
have flipped those. I think
yes,
it might
that
be
is the
boy.
second death.
Mhm.
That is
Okay.
the second death.
What? Oh my god, it's so good. It's
Mhm.
so good.
I have to say, I love this school that I'm sure they modeled it after a real one, but like
Oh,
what
yeah.
a Seattle thing to do, like have
Mhm.
this
Oh, yeah.
like nature school. I thought it was perfect. Like I
Yeah.
just got a real hoot out of that.
Oh my god.
Very
The
hippie.
scene. I'm forgetting the other mom's name. That was it, Brandon's mom.
Yeah, I don't remember
It was
her
like
name, but
Carol or
Brandon-
something.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was
Brandon's
a mom name.
like our introduction to him is like she's like talking about her son being in the school and stuff, and she like calls out to him and he's just like, "Fuck off, Carol."
Fuck off, Carol.
So good.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a bit troubled, I would say.
thanks.
Yeah. I think we're
Just a
supposed
bit.
to get the impression he's very troubled.
Yeah, so that scene like created a lot of tension.
Mhm.
Like I was nervous watching it because I'm like oh my God, what is this kid gonna do to either
Yeah.
Katie or Megan? Because he just seems evil.
Oh, he
And
gets
very
real rapey
malicious.
vibes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like, okay, where is this headed? So I was very on edge. I
Mhm.
loved this scene. I thought they executed it very well.
I think this is kind of one of the where Megan starts to get like really creepy. I think this is where we get
Yes.
kind of like peak creepiness.
The run that
The way
she
she
does
Yes.
when
Yes.
she's running towards Brandon
Like, you
on
better
all
run.
fours.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
Amazing.
It's because and it's such a contrast to when I felt like there were so many moments of humor in this movie.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so right before the boy kind of takes Katie into the woods and is being creepy, Megan is just sitting at the toy table.
Right.
And just the shot of her sitting there with all these like teddy bears and just like she's a doll, but she's also not. She's more than
Mhm.
that. It was just so unsettling but funny.
Yes.
And then it
Oh,
goes
so
to her
good.
just being this like, murderous artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
being.
And then,
Yeah.
even when you first get, because isn't it when Megan like first comes out and Brandon like pushes her down or something, she doesn't react,
Right.
right? She just kind of
Yeah.
stays still.
Yeah,
like,
she's like frozen. Her and Katie are kind of in
Yeah.
this like frozen.
because he's like, oh, like say something or do something.
Right.
Like he wants her to do something. So she just kind of like stays still. And so the whole time I feel like I was kind of holding my breath, like, okay, what is she gonna do?
When's
Where's
it
she-
gonna
What's gonna
happen?
happen?
Yep.
When's it gonna happen? Yeah, and that's
Right.
where we get her creepy but she tears off his ear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have to talk about this scene
we
because
have to.
it was so realistic and just the
Mhm.
sound of it, like almost
Ooh.
like rubber, like what I
Oh.
was like pulling on my own ear because it was making me all like
It was like putty. It was like you would
Yes.
expect like really kind of like stretchy putty to
Yes.
do. And oh,
Like,
Right, yeah,
could
like
you-
almost funny, right? Because it's like this stretchy ear, but
could
just
you
so
actually
not.
do that? Like, could you actually pull someone's ear off?
oh
Not
yeah.
a human, but like a robot.
I was trying to look this up, and it's like how flexible are ears?
Yeah, like
how
could you
accurate
actually
was
pull an
this?
ear off?
I don't know that it would be that stretchy, but absolutely you could pull an ear
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
especially if you're whatever Megan is made
Titanium.
of,
right, like
Yes.
steel.
Bulletproof.
At one point I wrote that down. Like at an earlier scene where she sings about titanium, but with this
Her
really sweet
singing.
angelic voice.
The singing was very uncomfortable for me.
Singing was hilarious.
Oh, I loved it. It was
I had
yeah, it was
such a I was
so
like, oh
funny.
my God, please make it stop.
Oh,
Because I think that was the first time she sang, right? It was titanium.
Yes.
yeah.
To get Katie to fall asleep. Oh, it's
And it's supposed to be sweet, but at the same time, like later that kind of comes back to haunt Katie and all of these
Mhm.
interactions that Megan has because she's this titanium thing that can just like murder people and be
Yep.
strong and not die. It's like, oh God.
oh my
Okay,
goodness,
so
yeah.
she's pulled off Brandon's ear, and at this
Mhm.
point, we know like she starts chasing him.
Mhm.
He's like running away, and she does her creepy four-legged thing,
Yes.
and then she just pushes him right off the little ledge, and
Mhm.
he rolls down the hill right onto the road, and just bam, smashed by a truck.
Oh,
Mhm.
Oh.
Tragic, gone, dead.
and it's just so shocking.
It is
Right?
shocking.
Just I mean,
Yes.
we had last time we talked about like Final Destination and the bus. It's kind of the same thing, right? We're just, like,
It is.
when he gets hit by the car, it's just like so sudden. It just you're just so shocked by it,
Yes.
especially because like clearly he was an asshole, but he was a kid,
Right.
and
A human,
like a
like
human child.
you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and I think that's kind of what makes this movie good too, is because the victims, first, it's loving parents, both
Mhm.
parents. Then it's a dog, and then it's a child.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's like they're not holding back on
They
this.
are not
Oh
holding
no,
back.
no,
Yeah.
they'll kill anyone.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
Oh.
yeah.
before we move on to the next deaths, because this happened slightly before our second death,
Mhm.
I think we should talk about what we're sipping on.
Oh, yes.
Oh, definitely what we're sipping on.
Mhm.
So I think Laura, you chose our drink tonight, right?
Well, technically it was Kurt, I think no, it wasn't Kurt. I don't know. It was one of the
It was
toy
her-
executives that
Yeah, it was like one of
chose
the
the drink.
executives.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the aunt, and what's her name? Is it
Gemma?
Gemma?
Gemma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at first, when they said it, I thought that they said the name Tama, and I was like, "What kind of a name is that?" But then, yes, Gemma is actually a very beautiful name. But when I thought it was Tama, I was
Like
confused.
Tamiflu.
I know, right?
That's all I think
It's a
of.
beautiful name.
So, yeah, it is. It's actually kind of pretty now that the more I say it, the more it's growing on me.
Tamiflu.
Well, just Tama.
What a
Tama,
beautiful
for
name.
sure. Tama
Top
for
girl
sure.
names for 2023. Tamiflu.
Tamiflu. Okay, so Gemma, the aunt is she's kind of going into all of these meetings when Katie has first come to live with her. So because she's got this big project at work. So she's at work, and I think they're talking about the debate on if they're going to do another perpetual pet or if they're going to move forward with M3GAN or how M3GAN's going. And one of the dudes she's having a debate with, this is the only drink I noticed in the movie. He pours Sky vodka into a clear glass with ice and tops it with a slice of orange.
I don't know how all of these people are just drinking straight vodka. Like the
right?
last movie,
It's also
the
just
teacher
vodka.
was like, "What is with straight vodka? That is a disgusting drink."
Yeah,
Yeah,
guys, don't do
vodka.
that.
I can drink straight whiskey, maybe even sip on some
Yeah.
tequila,
Mhm.
but vodka?
No.
Straight vodka.
Mm-mm.
Guy, no.
So yeah, we decided
So we
to cut it.
modified.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, vodka, ice, orange, screwdriver.
Yep.
Perfect.
So screwdriver or mimosa, if you should choose to have that be your alcohol instead of vodka.
Perfect.
Honestly, I feel like a screwdriver is just perfect for this movie.
It is.
Yeah.
There were a lot of screwdrivers in this movie.
I
So
agree.
it kind of just
'Cause,
works.
building all of our
Yeah.
little robots.
Yeah. Well, and then I
it's the
think
perfect drink.
at the end, isn't that what Katie uses?
Yes.
That's her weapon.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, my
so it is
gosh.
totally perfect. The
It's like
screwdriver.
a trifold.
It works in so many ways.
Love it.
Oh,
Mhm.
maybe the title of our episode should be Screw M3GAN.
I know, right?
Okay. Anyway,
There
now
we
we can
go.
get back to deaths.
Okay, so now
we're on the neighbor.
Yes.
Mhm. Does anyone remember her name? I totally forgot.
I
her name.
don't
No.
at all.
Fine. She's
Gone.
a neighbor.
Just the neighbor, the
Yeah.
mean old neighbor.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
This one was vicious.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is where M3GAN really just, I don't think she really needed too much of a reason to kill anyone,
No, she was just ready for murder.
Anyone who would come between her and Katie was just done.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh.
she hides out in the shed and somehow gets the neighbor to come back there.
Does she make like dog noises?
Yes.
Oh,
or
she does
something?
make dog
Yes.
noises.
Yeah.
That's her
That's
MO. She makes
Lures
the sounds
them.
because she records people.
Yes.
And then she
Mhm.
can like mimic their voice and replay
So
them back.
she's
So you can play
mimicking the dog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So the neighbor goes towards her shed to go see the dog. But then there's just the looming shadow of M3GAN instead.
Mhm.
And then I don't remember exactly how it goes down because it happens very fast.
Well, the neighbor asks M3GAN, where's my dog? And she says, I think she like lists GPS coordinates
Mhm.
and is like, this degrees west, this degree south, and about 5 feet deep or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like, okay, she's fully admitted.
Yep.
Because at first when we heard the dog, I thought, oh, maybe she didn't kill the dog. Maybe she just like put him away in a shed.
Yeah.
That's what I thought
the
too.
same.
Yeah.
No, she killed him.
No, he's dead.
That's 5 feet underground.
That dog is dead.
But yeah, after that, that's when she hits her with the power washer.
Yes.
But instead of water, she's like using the chemicals, I think, that she was using on her lawn.
Yes.
And like then gets a nail gun and nails her hand
Yes.
To, like,
she
a
like
tire.
nailed her through to the floor.
to keep her down.
And it's
Power
like it's
washes.
like power washing her face off. It's,
Yeah, she
it's
like power
awful.
washes her face off and she probably drowns in
Yeah.
the chemicals.
I'll probably just cut you so
Yeah.
bad. I mean,
Oh.
power washers are
Intense.
really intense.
Powerful.
Uh-huh.
Can't help myself.
Crickets.
Yeah, insert
We need
cricket
sound
sounds.
effects. We need to
We
figure out how
really
to do
do. I
sound
think
effects.
We do.
We need to incorporate more. We need a soundboard. It's fine. It's a business expense.
little crickets.
It's a
Yes.
business. You can write it off.
Right. It's a write-off.
Yeah.
There you go,
Mhm.
Liz. There's your next shout out. It's a write off.
It's a write-off. So we get that horrible.
Okay. So yeah, the neighbor's toast now.
She's gone.
And the police are kind of on to they think
Yeah.
it's Gemma because at this point, not only is the dog missing, but now the neighbor is dead. So
Mhm.
they're like, what's going on?
Mhm.
So the cops are now interested.
Yeah. And they know she was there when Brandon was killed. So
Yep.
yeah, they've definitely started to look that way.
They know there's something
They're
going
a little
on.
sus. A little sus.
Mhm.
And I also feel like it was around this part of the movie where I think Megan starts to get really funny. So
Yes.
instead of her just having robotic responses, she's getting more of a personality and she's funny. Like
She is funny.
So funny.
yeah. So she just does these quirky, weird little, lines and songs and stuff. So I feel like this is when there's definitely more of a shift where it's
Yeah.
even moving
She's
from
becoming more personable.
yeah,
Mhm.
like and just protecting Katie to also it being like more about what she wants to do, not just
Yeah.
what she's programmed.
She's focusing on herself.
Yeah,
at
this is
point.
her me era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then we just, then things just get fully unhinged on the day of the reveal, where they're gonna
Yes.
like fully show Megan to the world. They have all the people in the office and the kids and stuff waiting for the reveal, and this is where we get some of the last few deaths.
Mhm.
So the next one I think is David, right?
Yes.
Gemma's
see,
boss.
I wrote that Cole was next, but I don't know who Cole
I don't
is.
think they die because that's Gemma's
Oh.
coworkers.
Okay, he was hanged, but then he survived.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Okay,
I think at
okay.
the end it's both
And
of them, right?
It is. So her coworkers survive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Yep.
get attempted. We get attempted-ish
Attempted, yeah.
deaths.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then it's her boss
Mm-hmm.
and the other guy, Kurt.
Yes, Kurt,
Is that
his
his name?
assistant. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So this is
So-
where we get the iconic TikTok dance
Yes.
of
Which
Megan.
we will be reenacting for you. No, I'm just kidding. We will
I
not.
totally will.
did you already learn
choreograph
it?
That.
Okay.
I did not, but I will do it because
That'll
that
be on our
sounds amazing.
Patreon.
Yeah.
So once we get our first person to be our Patreon, we will choreograph.
Yeah,
and
that's all. Yeah, just one person. We're ready
one
to go.
person. So if you're willing, you reach out to us and let us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so okay. Did you guys watch any trailers before watching the movie?
Yes. I
watched
saw the
one.
trailer. The trailer did a disservice to this movie,
Mhm.
in my
Honestly, yeah.
opinion.
Mhm.
I actually, because when I saw the first trailer for this movie, I was like, wow, that looks like trash. Like,
Oh, really?
yes, I hated the trailer because of this stupid dance. It
Oh,
like,
see, I thought it was so funny. I watched
I
the
love
I
it.
mean, I thought it was funny too, but I was like, are they purposely making like a terrible movie? Like, is
Mm.
that the point? Is this just going to be like a
Yeah.
spoof almost?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess, do you guys think it was worth having the dance scene in the movie?
1,000%.
Yes, but
Mhm.
they should have done it better. They shouldn't have had it in the trailer in the way that they did.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Fair.
I
fair.
think the way that the trailer was made, it made it
Mhm.
look like it was going to be a bad movie,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
in
I
my
can
opinion,
agree
it
with
was
that.
not. Like,
Yeah.
so I would say keep the dance in, but they should have
Mhm.
done the trailers different.
Yeah. Okay.
I
That's fair.
agree because I think that that got some of the most reaction in the theater was the dance.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I feel like that part kind of stuck with me because yeah, there's the horror and yeah, there's the humor, but something about like that was just unnerving, but like almost like in a lighthearted way, but
Mhm.
it just kind of sucked you in. So 1,000%, I feel like that's what will get people talking about the movie more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It totally sucked you in.
Right. And okay, I feel like I saw some people online saying that they like didn't like it or didn't think they should have included and stuff, but I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, the whole point is that she was linked up to Katie, who
Right.
was how old? Right, like 11.
Yeah, like
12?
if
Something
that,
weird,
she
like,
was
if
probably
that.
like 9.
Yeah,
like-
and I mean, Megan is the internet. Like, she has consumed all
Right.
content that exists in the
Mhm.
world, and she knows what kids like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what's trending right now is TikTok.
Totally.
Yes.
So much dancing. So of course she would throw in something like that because like M3GAN is a product of what she thinks people of that age would like, right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah. I actually think
Absolutely.
it made a lot of sense. And I loved it. I thought it was so fun. I thought it was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And also just from, like not even the characters, but the watchers of this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, young kids are gonna like it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids that want to go see this movie are gonna like that too. So
Mhm.
yeah.
No, I guess the director kind of just like came up with that idea at like 3 a.m. one day where he was like, maybe we should add kind of a dance sequence and thought to kind of
Genius.
include it there. So it was kind of a last minute thing that he kind of snuck into the movie without really telling anyone.
Huh.
Okay.
I feel like it worked really well.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's what
agree.
made it go like very viral for sure.
Very.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so apparently he's a genius.
Okay, so we've got
the death.
David in the hallway, right? Who
Yes.
watches this dance and is like, what the
Like, what are
is
you doing?
going on? So then she gets, what is the weapon that she
I
has?
think it's a paper cutter.
Oh, it is. That's because at first I was like, is that a
Yes.
machete? Like, where did she? Yes. So then she chases him down
Mm-hmm.
and the elevator opens and Kurt is in the elevator and she just gets, David's like trying to run for the elevator and he's trying to make it in time and he gets there and just as he gets there, she gets David through the gut, like through the back and gut with the paper
Oh.
shredder.
Yes. Oh, so good.
So good.
And
So
then we
good.
get Kurt. She's on a roll.
Yes.
You know, anyone in her way, she's just gonna kill at this
Nope.
point.
Yep.
And her monologue or like little speech to Kurt was so because it was unexpected, but I think in a good way because you just saw her kill David, and so you see that Kurt is in the elevator. So I thought it was going to be a quick. She was just going to like cut him. That's it. He's dead. She moves on. But then
Mhm.
she has this her little monologue
Yeah.
about, being mistreated and how he stole the code and how this is all going to get blamed on him. She's
Yep.
like 3 steps ahead, already trying to find someone to blame the murders on, which I thought was so good.
Brilliant.
Mhm.
Yes.
So good.
No, I totally agree. So yeah, she makes it seem like this is all going to fall on Kurt and then he ended up killing himself and that's how
Mhm.
she makes his death look.
Mhm.
Because she's just, like you said, 3 steps ahead.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
And then
good.
I love that. So she's doing this during the company party.
Yes.
And there's a big, the party is happening downstairs. And I think it's supposed to be really close to the time when they're going to have the big reveal for M3GAN.
Mhm.
And so some like party planner or someone in the company is like, all right, everyone, I want to see big reactions.
Oh,
And
yes.
as soon as she says that, the elevator door opens.
Just a bloodbath.
Bloodbath. Yes. It's amazing.
Brilliant timing.
So good.
Then we just get M3GAN walking outside. I guess she just hacked David's
The
car.
car.
The
Yeah.
McLaren.
'Cause,
Yeah.
Why not?
Because she's just, she's in the cloud or whatever.
She is the cloud.
She
Whatever
is
that-
the
She is
cloud.
the internet. She is the cloud.
Yes.
We
Yep.
can't understand it. And that's when we get the last death question mark.
Yeah.
Right.
We get the robot fight. We get
Yes.
Bruce,
the giant robot who I love.
which
Who
I mean,
reminds-
okay, the moment you saw that, tell me you weren't like, oh, this is coming back. Bruce is coming back.
Yes,
He's gonna play a
totally.
role later.
1,000%. He's like
Yeah.
the first generation, like what Gemma made in college of
Mhm.
robots. So he's big and clunky and you control
It's
him
like
with
that
these
one-
gloves.
That
Mhm.
one cartoon movie, Big Hero 6.
Oh yeah, Baymax.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Baymax. Like that's what he reminded me of, just this like big
Yeah.
endearing
Clunky little
robot.
He reminded me of who's the transformer?
Bumblebee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Like a cute, fun robot.
Yep.
Who doesn't love Bruce?
Oh,
Oh my
Brucey.
gosh. We get a good robot battle, which honestly, like kudos to them for throwing that in there.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
I did kind of expect Bruce to come back, but I did not have robot fight in my bingo card for M3GAN.
No, I did
didn't
not
expect
either.
that.
Agreed.
Very good though.
Oh, so good. I think
Yeah, that
so,
was an
right?
epic
She like
scene.
tears M3GAN in half.
Yeah, like obliterates M3GAN
Just-
with
and then we get M3GAN like just upper body crawling back. Oh, it's such
and her
a good
face is all
fight.
peeled off at this point,
my
and
gosh,
her
yes.
hair is a mess, and
Yeah.
Oh yes.
genius.
And she's like giving up on Katie at this point. Like I feel like right at the end, because doesn't she call her like a spoiled brat or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Like she's
Yep.
like, oh wait, no, she has such a good line. Or she's like, I'm the primary user now, or something.
Yes.
Yes. Classic.
Because she's also like when she's doing that, she's like faking emotions, like at first, to try to get Katie to help her or, to not get in her way, I guess,
Right.
of taking control of things. But it's all very fake.
Oh,
and
yes.
you can tell that. But
And Katie ends it with a screwdriver right in
Yes.
M3GAN's little brain.
Mm.
box.
cheers.
Cheers,
Yes.
M3GAN.
Screwdriver.
Katie. Love it.
But wait,
so
is
good.
M3GAN actually dead?
Dun dun dun.
Then we get the little what was it called? Not Alexa, obviously. Elsie?
Elsie.
Yeah.
Elsie. We get the little
Yes.
home robot who like turns and looks out the door.
Mhm.
So what do you think that means? Like, what was your take?
I mean, we kind of talked about it already, right? Like M3GAN is like in the internet, in the
Right.
cloud now. Like to me, it's like M3GAN is her
Is
essence
more than
is
her
out
brain
there.
box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she
100%.
she transferred her, and we'll talk
Mhm.
about this when we get to psych, her consciousness, if we believe that she had that, she transferred that into the, Elsie or whatever.
Yeah.
So that she can come back or
100%.
Yep.
rebuild herself or whatever.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so I feel like there were so many, now that we've covered the deaths, I feel like there were so many good scenes.
Yes,
So
in
many
the
good
movie.
scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we need
let's
to
talk
talk
about our
about
favorites. Okay, what was your like favorite scenes?
Okay, I'm trying to
My
think.
favorite scene was when so after M3GAN has stolen the car, murdered everyone at the company party, and she comes back to the house before the robot fight happens. When Gemma and Katie are coming home, I think that they kind of are assuming they're safe because M3GAN's all like wrapped up and stuck at the company party. You see just M3GAN sitting at the piano in a dark room.
In their little
And-
piano.
At their little piano. And she's so creepy, just sitting there waiting for this
Mhm.
confrontation. And then she also does like creepy, like broken doll dance moves. I also like, or not even
Yes.
dance.
Oh,
This isn't even
yes.
when she was dancing. It's just when she was like kind of starting to be in a fight, but like moving toward them. I loved the broken doll moves and I loved the creepy scene at the piano.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Fantastic parts.
Okay, I think one kind of top scene for me, it was even kind of quick. It was when they were kind of, I forget if they were doing like an update or just like working on M3GAN. So they were in the lab with Gemma and like her two coworkers, and they bring up Katie's parents dying, and M3GAN was awake. And she was like, how did they die? And then I think she asks like, what is death?
What is death? Yeah.
And then they're like, before they can even react, you see M3GAN pull up the internet, and she's like learning death. I think she even asks like, will I die? Like she's learning the concept of death in front of them. And then just, I think that's part of like her transformation, right? Of like, okay, I can't let Katie die.
Yes.
Which I don't know. I thought that was so interesting because like, I feel like that's a thing for like parents, right? Like I can't even imagine your kid asking you, what is death? And am I going to die?
Right.
And
Like, what a
much less
moment.
this AI who can just search the whole internet and is like, okay, I now understand the concept of death. Perfect.
Yeah.
No, I love that scene
That's a good
too.
one.
I thought it
Mhm.
was so well done. Yeah. Honestly,
I
there
have
were so
a-
many good ones.
I have a favorite line. So it's towards the end of the movie, and it's when they're like, she's trying to get Katie to still like be on her side. M3GAN is like trying to get Katie to still be on her side. And I don't even fully remember the context, but she says the line, in this family, we don't run from trauma.
So good.
So
I
good.
was like, holy shit, I need to cross stitch that into a pillow.
Oh my God, will you do that for me?
Yes. I
Oh my
will.
gosh, you should.
In this family, we don't
We
run
don't
from trauma.
She has so many good one-liners that
So
I'm
many
just
good
trying to remember.
one-liners.
Like when Gemma's trying to shut her down and she's like, I thought we were having a conversation.
Yes.
You know, oh, it's just she just has so many good comebacks.
And just the
this whole
delivery of
movie.
them,
Yeah.
like her like little monotone voice.
Oh,
Perfect.
she gets real sassy. I love it.
She does.
Yes.
Okay, I also think any of Gemma's boss is like the CEO. I thought any of his lines were actually really fun. And that character could have so easily been really annoying.
I loved
Yeah.
that character.
You know, like they could have so easily like done way too much and had him just not be funny. But I think, I don't know if it was the writing or the actor or both, but all of his scenes were so funny. Like I absolutely loved it. That when they have like the fake ad, you know, that they're about to run before the conference where they're showing Katie and he's like, oh my God, what does he say?
And it's something about like, you know, M3GAN is so great for Katie, and it would be great even if your parents weren't dead.
Yeah,
Like it's something like about how like
Oh yeah, like
think of how great she'd be even if your parents weren't dead.
He was like, if she's this great, you know, for Katie, think about how great she'll be, you know, with
If your
not dead
parents
parents or
weren't dead.
something. Like it's so bad.
it's so good.
So good.
He's just screaming at Kurt to go get him kombucha. And
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I just loved all of his scenes. I thought he did such a good job.
Yes, agreed.
And I know we already talked
yeah.
about it, but I also really loved all the scenes with Katie singing. I felt like or not Katie, M3GAN
M3GAN.
singing.
Oh
Like
my
they were
God,
so
those were
good.
so
I
creepy.
thought that was so funny. I loved it. So I guess one of the song that she sings when they're doing the first demo, kind of in front of the other execs and stuff, that she sings about like having the memory or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what was it called? They had a name for it. Oh, Tell Me Your Dreams. That was written by the director and the composer of the film, and they were going for like a Disney sounding song.
Yeah.
And honestly, I replayed it. I think they did a really good job with that.
Yes.
I thought it was
They nailed
sweet.
it. Yeah. It was actually such a sweet moment, which I think is something they did really well. I saw this interview with the composer and he was talking about working on the movie. And he was saying that, you know, but like a big inspiration was just this like idea of like the femme fatale, you know, for M3GAN. And one thing that the director told him that he was really surprised about was he said he wanted it to be warm. You know, he wanted this kind of like female touch to the movie. Yes, it was a movie about AI and the future, but that doesn't mean you have to have like the like super synth heavy, you know, futuristic sound. And I actually think they did a really good job. I like even all like the pop music and stuff that they threw in. Like I think it just worked for the movie.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I think so. And I really think that it's one of those things where you don't necessarily realize that's going on until you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I feel like that scene was actually really sweet. You know, like they give you moments where you're rooting for M3GAN.
Yeah, because like you're rooting for her and Katie. Like you're rooting for them as a little unit, I feel like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think one thing that oh my gosh, the actress who played Katie, all of her tantrum scenes.
Oh my gosh, so good.
She did when she slaps Gemma.
Oh, wild.
I was offended.
Yes, because her emotions that she portrays in the tantrum are perfect.
Yeah.
Like they're done so well with like the perfect balance of being believable. It's like an actual, you're watching a real tantrum. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So good.
And I guess, okay, speaking of tantrums, is this a good time to maybe dive into some psych?
Totally.
For this movie?
I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm ready if we want to jump into
Let's do it.
100%.
So we'll just start off with tantrums because we were just talking about that.
Oh, and don't forget your disclaimer.
Oh yes. Okay. So we are going to be talking some psychology now. And we might get some of it wrong. It might not be completely accurate, but that's okay because I am not a real doctor and these are not real people.
Yeah.
Especially M3GAN.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Ooh, but that's up for debate. Y'all, I'm going to mingle in psychology and philosophy tonight.
All right.
Like,
Oh,
we're
okay.
going there.
Let's get into it.
We're already deep into at least one screwdriver. I think now's the time.
All right, I'm ready.
So, because we were talking about tantrum, that, Katie does and some of her, behavioral, outbursts, I guess. And I don't have too much to say on that other than that is completely normal behavior. So, Katie has just been through huge trauma. She's a young child. I don't think we know specifically how old she is.
I would guess she's like 9 or 10. She's
Yeah,
in that
somewhere
like
around there.
That's what I guessed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's gone through all of these changes. Her parents have died. She goes to live with this aunt. It's very confusing, very hard time. So really all tantrums or, what we would call like bad behavior in kids, that is some sort of form of communication. So it's that, something is not right. I don't understand. I need more from you. I need help coping with what I'm going through. So yeah, it can kind of seem like really harsh. Oh my gosh, she just slapped her caregiver. But at the same time, at this point, she doesn't know how else to communicate.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I actually thought that was really, I think Katie showed kind of the full emotion throughout the whole movie of what was happening.
Yeah. So she also in this movie, Katie had a therapist, which I'm glad that they show that would be a thing that would happen. But that was the most judgmental therapist I have ever seen.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that because I thought the same thing.
Drove me nuts. She demonstrated no like empathy or understanding for what Gemma was going through and all of a sudden.
And I will say in her line of work, she probably is so burned out from like shitty caregivers that like that's just kind of now her baseline. But still,
she was not helping the situation.
Not helping at all.
I really had actually kind of hoped that M3GAN would have also killed her because I did not like her. I feel like she kind of got a little bit better as the movie went on. She became a little bit more understanding and like actually cared. But that first interaction she had with the family drove me nuts.
Yeah.
That first visit was so uncomfortable. It was,
yeah.
I did think it was funny when they're talking about the toys and Katie's like, oh, those are Aunt Gemma's collectibles.
We don't play with those.
We don't play with those.
Yeah. Which I think was part of what I thought the way they portrayed Gemma's transition into being a parent when you're not expecting it, where it was not all wonderful. She was not prepared. She did not handle it.
She wasn't perfect at it right away.
I thought they did a really good job of like, I felt like it was really realistic. Like as someone who does not have a child living in my house, if all of a sudden a kid was living in my house, I'd be like, oh, wait, you can't touch that. And oh, that's not childproof. And it'd be hard.
No, I love that her house was like perfectly designed, like that. It looked straight out of an interior design catalog.
Yes,
it was beautiful. She had all of these great things on display. It was, mid-century modern, like not at all ready for a child, which I thought was a nice touch. Yeah.
And I also felt like it was kind of nice that, M3GAN got introduced to sort of help with the transition. But I feel like the very first time that Aunt Gemma and Katie finally had a real conversation was when they turned Katie or M3GAN off.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I keep calling the other one.
I know. That happens with kids.
Yeah.
That happens with kids all the time.
Okay. Sorry. So I got off track. Let's get back to psych.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so one thing that was posed in the movie was, I believe it was by the shitty therapist who asked Gemma, she said, are you aware of attachment theory? So I think we've talked about this a little bit.
Yes.
But instead of, kind of the diagnostic route that sometimes we go into, let's talk about some more psychology theory, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, so attachment theory. It is by a man named Bowlby. I don't remember his first name.
Bowlby?
Bowlby. Bowlby.
Oh, Bowlby.
Oh, Bowlby.
Oh,
He was
Bowlby.
he was a British psychologist, psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and he did a lot in the field of child psychology. Like he's a pretty well-known name. But he came up with or was one of the founding people for attachment theory, which is basically showing that there's saying that children need to develop a relationship with at least one primary caregiver in order to have normal and typical social and emotional development. So I feel like Bowlby was especially initially kind of focused on infants. Like infants need to really attach to their caregivers, and it's mostly for survival. Like if you don't form an attachment with your mom, or your mom doesn't form an attachment with you when you're a baby, you're going to die because you need your parents to take care of you.
Yeah.
But it also kind of morphed attachment theory into that there's behavioral and motivation patterns for attaching to others. So babies do it for survival. Later children, they more view their attachment to caregivers as like okay, I want to go experiment the world. I want to go learn about things, but I need to make sure I have a strong base. It's like, okay, I'm going to go out a little bit, but mom and dad, you're still there, right? Like wanting to just make sure their caregivers are still around to protect them. So that's kind of attachment theory in a nutshell.
Would you say that when a child has her primary caregivers die, like the people she was attached to, that she almost has to redo her attachment?
So it kind of depends on how healthy the attachment was to begin with. And that kind of gets into one of the next things I'll want to talk about is trauma, but also resilience. So yes, attachment will still be important, and it kind of depends on how healthy your attachment was to your initial caregivers, which I feel like they made it seem like Katie's was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like normal, like a normal family.
Pretty typical.
But their loss was so sudden and traumatic that she's got some of those protective, resilient factors in there where she had, strong, loving relationship. She had security. She had stability, but then that's all ripped away from her. So that is going to be really jarring. So kind of similar, but not as traumatic. I did a little bit of research into Bowlby himself, the psychologist who came up with this theory. So, interestingly, he was brought up by a nanny and a nursemaid. So he was like born in I think it was like 1907. He died in 1990. So he was, this from this kind of affluent British family, where it was very common for, I think his dad was a surgeon and they're very high up. So his parents were really not around. So his nanny and nursemaid raised him.
I was going to say, to have a nanny and a nursemaid, they must have had some money, right?
Well, they were well off. They were well off. Yeah, he saw his mom for maybe an hour a day, if at all. And she had that approach of I can't be caring or dote on you because if I do, it's going to spoil you. So he had this nanny who loved him. Her name was, I think, Minnie or Winnie. I forget. But she left when he was around 4, and he felt like that was his parent died. So it was really traumatic for him. And then when he was 7, he got shipped off to boarding school.
Ooh, of course.
So you see actually a lot of themes of just what we saw in this movie, kind of what attachment theory is from the person who kind of came up with the idea or presented the idea to the psychological world.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Very.
Also, why, as when you're a kid, do you just want to go to boarding school? That wasn't just me, right? Where it's you see boarding schools and stuff on TV. It's if only.
Because in movies and shows, especially at least around our generations, all 3 of us, I feel like it was a dreamy thing. It was oh, boarding school.
The Little Princess.
Yes, rich people did. And
yes.
Totally.
Also, you just think oh, my family doesn't understand me.
Yes. Yes.
You just think it'll be this movie dream. Yep. Totally.
And it's we see that now. It's oh, sad. He was shipped off to boarding school. It's
I know.
When you're a kid, you're What a
the
dream.
trauma.
I dreamed of it every day, or like
Oh.
finding out I was adopted.
Oh my God, I wanted
Oh
to
my
be
gosh.
adopted so bad.
Why?
I wanted to be
Right?
adopted. I used to dream of it, you guys, like nobody's business.
Why did
I
we
think,
want
again,
that?
that's kind of your way of like trying to branch out from your family, like
Right.
explore other
Yeah.
options, but in a safe way, because it's all
Right.
just imagination. But
Yep.
yeah, oh yeah, we all wanted it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't lie. You would have
No.
loved to find out you were adopted.
I
Absolutely.
still would love to find out as
If
a
I-
grown-ass adult. I'm like, where's
Oh
my
my
daddy
gosh.
Warbucks?
Oh,
You know?
if I didn't look exactly like my mother,
And if
there'd
I
be a
didn't
possibility.
sound and act exactly like both of my parents,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would believe it. But here we are.
Yeah.
Just a perfect little hybrid.
Okay. Anyway, sorry to go off on your.
Oh no, you're good. So we were kind of talking about trauma. And trauma can be something where it can be big or little, but then also your reactions to it can be big or little, and it doesn't necessarily have to match, right? You can have this
Mhm.
giant trauma, but someone's reaction to it might not be as big, or it can be very small, but your reaction to it can be huge. And a lot of that has to do with like factors of resilience that you might have. And this can be things within you. So what as a child is your temperament like? You know, can you cope with change? Are you a type of child that really can't handle that very well? Are you someone more even keeled, or are you does your mood fluctuate? It can also really have to do with your environment. Is it a healthy, loving environment? Is it, full of fear or danger? And then it can also have to do with just those around you. So like, what do the people that are raising you, or people in school, or your friends, how do they kind of react to it? And so like all of those factors can kind of like affect how you're going to react to trauma.
Yeah.
But I feel like a huge thing right now, at least kind of like in my field and my working with people, is instead of so much focusing on the trauma, you can focus on these factors of resilience. So like what within the child, or what within the environment, or what within the people around the child can bring the person out of it, can like help them heal, like their coping skills and, their connection to people, things like that.
An AI robot.
So yeah, like M3GAN definitely was a factor initially for Katie's resilience. Like she was able to bond with someone. She was able to find a connection. Like M3GAN was kind of a caregiver. She was very consistent. She was very competent. She was always there. She, seemed empathetic.
Kept her safe.
Yeah. So then this brings me, guys, to our next kind of philosophical psych.
Let's do
topic
it.
Here we go.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So let's talk
AI
about
consciousness.
what consciousness. Yes. So consciousness, kind of some of the definitions are, it's about being aware of your internal and your external existence. So like, what do you go through? What happens like to you? And it also can include like a sense of self, and a self-understanding. So in humans, a self-understanding, like it incorporates self-recognition. And that can kind of happen when you're around like 18-ish months. So you realize that you are like a person that's kind of separate from others. And like little kids will talk about that, like physically, like I'm a girl, I have blonde hair, things like that. And then it can kind of expand. So it goes beyond like just your body to like what your thoughts are, emotions like shame and pride, and then like how you fit into society. And another thing that comes up with psychology is that consciousness, not just the, are you awake conscious, but like, the more philosophical kind of thinking about it is it's related to communication. Like you're aware of yourself, but you can also tell or communicate somehow to other people what your thoughts, perceptions, and feelings are. So it kind of connects back to that.
Yeah.
So knowing all of those, like, rambling definitions of consciousness in psychology.
That's
Mhm.
Megan.
Is Megan conscious?
I would say yes.
I mean, yeah, because that is a thing throughout the movie is she talks about figuring out what she is, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a scene where she's like, I've been trying to figure out, what I am this whole
Who I
time. And
am.
then
Right.
at the end, we get her prioritizing herself and focusing on her needs instead of Katie's.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of, right? I mean, she once starts, I guess, thinking for herself and then decides to be her own entity.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
she
It's
goes
so
beyond the
weird, though.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the one area of consciousness that I didn't bring up before I asked the question was if you go at it from a biological basis of behavior,
Mhm.
it involves chemistry and neurons.
Mhm.
That's what's going on in your brain. So although Megan is learning and she's like changing like her code and stuff, she doesn't have the biological piece to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So for that reason, I don't know.
But she's
Yeah.
learning. Like she
Yeah.
does learn and adapt.
She does learn. Does she have emotions?
She clearly feels
Learned
angry.
emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, she has learned emotions.
Now, do we feel like she has learned emotions or she has learned the behavior of that signify emotions? So she's
Ooh.
learned like when I am
Yeah.
threatened, I need to act in what humans perceive to be anger in order to meet my need.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard
know.
because at the end, it's like, no, she's not a person, like I want to just say that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those, like, I feel like, okay, here's a shout out to my friend Amber. I feel like Ross from Friends, where he's like nerding out and he's talking about how like in the future someone will be able to like download their thoughts into a computer and live forever as a machine.
Yes.
He's like nerding out into it. But, like, I don't know.
That is like
I honestly think there's going to be philosophy classes about this. Like, I genuinely believe this will become a thing where like you take AI philosophy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think this is really going to become a thing.
Yeah. And I think I've seen so many shows that have tackled the idea of doing that thing where, once someone is about to die or they electively choose to upload their consciousness and live forever, right?
Yep.
Live in this dream world, taking on that. So this is kind of like, well, what if we had this invented consciousness that was created through AI, which means that it is a novel idea. Like no one invented this.
Right.
It created itself. And then we put it into this body looking suit.
Wild.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
AI is wild.
It really is.
Because I feel like also one of the predominating, is that a word? Emotions. I need another screwdriver.
Screwdriver.
Predominant emotions that Megan gives off is jealousy.
Yes.
Oh,
and so like the psychology behind jealousy is a lot of times it's going to stem from insecurity or like a fear of loss.
Yeah.
So is that Megan's way of just surviving? Like she feels insecure that if the humans that have created her don't like her anymore, they'll shut her down? Or is it that she's actually jealous of their humanness? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So yeah, my psychology definitely morphed into philosophy.
Fascinating though.
Yeah.
It is. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's I know I was trying, and we can just cut this out because I didn't go through with it. But I feel like the topic of the day is Chat GPT, and I was like, can we do a segment with it for the podcast? Like I was trying so hard to think of what we could ask it to write or create to use on the podcast.
Yep.
And it like I played around with it for a while, and it is crazy how good it is.
It's
Yeah.
spooky.
If it existed when I was in school, I would write no original thoughts.
I know.
Right.
It can just
Seriously.
churn stuff out for you. Like
Yes.
it does such a good job. Like with a little bit of tweaking, you
Yep.
have something new.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Crazy.
We were playing it with it actually at one of my psychology meetings. So like once a month, the staff from my district get together for a training. And so a few psychology friends and we all sit at a table and we were just using like AI and
Mhm.
we were asking it questions. And of course, us psych nerds, mostly what we're asking are things where I was like, am I in the right job? Or why am I not happy? Or things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It was some of the best therapeutic advice I have seen. Like
I
it was
love it.
really good.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I see so many like articles about how some latest computer like AI thing passes the MCAT, does really well, or does really well in the
Crazy.
LSAT, or is able to pass these other exams and stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be replaced.
We
They're all gonna
are.
kill us. Because
Mhm.
obviously M3GAN absorbed all knowledge and she came to the conclusion that she can just kill whoever she wants. So
Yes.
we've
It's
seen
gonna
it in
happen.
Terminator. We've seen it with M3GAN.
Robots
all
are
gonna
taking
kill us.
over.
And then they're just gonna take over.
Yep.
Also, if they
Any day
know
now.
if they know all there is to know, they possess all knowledge, and that includes all knowledge of ethics, morality, philosophy,
Mhm.
whatnot, and they conclude that murder is acceptable. What does that mean?
I know, right? That's a whole nother philosophical
I mean,
can of
yeah,
worms.
because that was the thing, right? With M3GAN, when Gemma realizes that she's killing people, and she's like, "People die every day. Like people kill
Right.
people every day. Why does it matter?"
If I'm doing it as a protective measure, why does
Yeah.
that matter? Like,
Right.
And
Yeah.
obviously, it's like a joke, but it's like, yeah, man, AI, it's
No,
literally
it
gonna kill
is.
us all.
Like, what about humans makes us stop? Like, why is it that we draw that line
Yep.
in morality, whereas this machine then doesn't? I can't get out of this philosophical rabbit hole.
Look at
I've
what
gone
this
down.
movie did to us.
We're spiraling.
We're spiraling.
What
We're
does
out
it
of
mean?
control.
What does it mean
Somebody
to be
help us.
human?
What does it mean to be human?
The only other last little tidbit of psychology that I wrote down was I did note that in the movie, the terrible therapist at one point, she also, I think it was her, that also mentioned that higher IQs are associated with higher behavior problems in kids. Did either of you pick up
I
on
don't
that?
think I caught that.
Yeah, it was like a little line she said. And okay, so there is, in my 15 minutes of prep research that I had
Of
before
course, yes.
recording, there is some evidence of, high levels of things like depression, anxiety, or mood disorders with people that have higher IQs. However, there's also a lot of research that completely contradicts that, kids from that have either exceptionally high IQs have higher levels of behavior problems. If they do, I would wonder, okay, is that just because due to their higher IQ, they are better at kind of communicating some of those concerns,
Oh,
so they
yeah.
have a higher rate of being diagnosed. Whereas if it's a kid from a lower socioeconomic status, like
sense.
maybe it's just like, oh, you're a bad kid, versus,
Right.
Yeah.
oh, you've got something going on.
Yeah. That
So
makes sense.
I feel like then now we're getting away from philosophy and into ethics.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that opens up that whole thing. But so really, I would say no, not so much. It's not like
Yeah.
one doesn't cause the other one.
I believe that.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Oh man, this movie is just a potpourri of
It's blown my mind tonight.
And,
intellectual discussion.
I think that's part of what makes it so good, though, is that it's not in the movie. They didn't make you think about it too much. Like it really did not take itself that seriously.
No.
Obviously it tackled all of these issues, but I don't think they did it in a way that it
wasn't heavy-handed.
Yeah, they weren't trying to be smart about it. Like I think this movie fully knew what it was.
Exactly.
And that's the movie that they made.
I agree.
But it does kind of, after you watch it, you have to kind of ask all these questions about AI and
Which I think that makes a
technology.
great movie when you can
Mhm.
like have that balance. I
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
that is what makes a great movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like another kind of psych and also very memorable scene that I forgot to bring up is at the end when M3GAN is attacking Gemma and she threatens to lobotomize her.
Yes. Yes.
I maybe was not paying attention to that part.
Yeah, okay, because the whole
Oh, yes.
because she's attacking Gemma and it's like, oh no, she doesn't want to kill her.
Yeah, like
She has a
I
new
still need
future.
you around.
Yeah, she was like, I'll have to take care of you because you'll be like kind of like a vegetable. Like,
Yeah, she's like just
yeah.
one poke or
And
something
she
in the
knows
right
exactly
spot.
where.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and she's like,
Yes.
oh, and you'll see how helpful I can be.
Like that is the scariest notion to think
Oh,
about.
That's so much scarier than murder.
So much
When
scarier than murder.
when she said that, I was actually kind of taken aback and had to think about that for a second because I was like,
Yeah.
that is such a scary thought.
No, it totally is.
yeah.
Yep, I agree. All right. Well, are we ready for our sips?
I think so. Do we? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if I have any fun facts. There were limited because it's,
Well, right, because it's a new movie.
newer movie.
Yep.
So okay, and actually I do want to talk about her. So M3GAN, with like how did they make M3GAN?
Oh yeah.
So there was no like full CGI M3GAN. M3GAN
Okay.
was either a puppet that was just controlled like with the back. And they mostly use that for like talking scenes where she's like sitting at the table or just doesn't need to move.
Okay.
And then any scene where she is moving was done by Amy Donald, an extremely talented dance prodigy, 11-year-old who,
Oh.
so she's like an incredibly good dancer, gymnast. I think she has like a brown belt in karate. She did all of them. So when she's running on all fours, that's Amy Donald.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I wondered how they did it.
Yeah, any scene where she's moving, it's her. And I saw like a little interview with her where she's just talking about how when she was preparing to be a robot, she talked about how helpful just like dance and gymnastics is because she really focused on being balanced. She was like, yeah, like you'd never see a robot like wobble or
It's
like
true.
mess up or stuff. And she did such a good job.
Oh my gosh,
the
that's
whole
so
movie.
cool.
I was wondering how they nailed it, and it was just her.
Because
She
it
just-
didn't feel like CGI.
No,
You know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
didn't feel overly animated.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it
Right.
didn't, but it didn't look human.
It didn't look human
Wow.
either. Yeah.
That's
right?
so
Like,
cool.
It did not feel like a human was just kind of doing it. Like I think she did such a good job. I think
she
she's
did a
so
good job.
talented.
Well
job.
done.
Awesome
If you want to be on our
performance.
podcast,
Yeah, just let us
just
know.
reach out to us.
Yeah.
Find you on Instagram and tag you.
Yeah, but yeah, she's just so I can't believe so she and her kind of like dance teacher was the choreographer for a lot of
Cool.
things. So it was like someone that she already worked with before. So they made like the viral dance and stuff. That was all her doing it.
Cool.
I don't know how she
That's
did it. I don't know how
awesome.
you figure out how like a kind of smart robot would move, but I thought it
That's
was
so cool.
fun.
Good for her.
That's
Right?
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
then the rest was just the puppet, which I think is so funny because they didn't have a very big budget for this movie. It was 12 million.
Okay.
That
In the
doesn't seem
scope
very
of the
big.
That's not big.
No,
I feel like it looked bigger budget.
it
Like,
did look bigger budget.
right. The way
Yes.
that they filmed it, it made it seem like, oh, this is kind of like a software, like techie
Yep.
movie. It must no, but yeah, 12 million. It's not a
Wow.
lot. So when they were puppeteering, like the puppeteer was like literally just like on the ground,
Oh my
like
gosh.
moving the mouth, just trying to stay out of frame.
Crazy.
Okay.
Wow. How
Um,
interesting.
Yeah, which I thought was cool. And I guess the way that they do it is he has the puppeteer had two screens that kind of showed the cameras that were working.
Oh,
So he could kind of view the angles
that makes sense.
as he was moving like the mouth and the arm and doing like the subtle head like tilts and stuff. So I don't know. I
Wow.
thought that was so fun. Okay, I guess the inspiration for this movie. So one of the writers, James Wan, kind of the main writer, he had worked on Saw, who has Jigsaw, and
Yep.
then The Conjuring, which has
Okay.
Annabelle.
Cool.
So he had worked on, kind of evil
Yep.
dolls before. And they were kind of he was just kind of like spitballing with some of his employees about what movies they'd want to see. And yeah, they came up with this idea of like, what if Annabelle and Terminator kind of
Were a thing.
merged
Cool.
and were a thing? Which yeah. I watched Terminator 2 like right after for some reason.
I'm
And
gonna need to watch it.
It's a good combo. I think if you're looking for a good double feature, M3GAN, Terminator 2.
Nice.
Okay.
It's a good combo.
Got my next lineup.
Yeah. It was filmed in New Zealand and LA. So kind of like a combo of the two. So the director is from New Zealand, and Amy Donald, who did all the dance moves, is from New Zealand.
Laura and I knew that it was in New Zealand because we stayed for the entire credits.
Yes.
Because we keep learning our lesson in horror movies that sometimes there are things. So we just stayed for the entirety. We were the only two. The cleaning crew was like,
they were so annoyed with
very
us.
Impatient with us.
I was like, y'all can clean around us.
Yeah,
We
wait,
don't
no
mind.
one else stayed?
No one else stayed.
No, not some people stayed for like the first part of the credits, but I mean, we stayed the entire time. So
you never know if at the very end.
You never know.
I waited too, but other people waited in the
no,
theater.
we were the only two.
No, it was just us. And yeah, the cleaning crew was all acting impatient. But I must say that movie theater had not been cleaned in 3 weeks. So I don't know why they were.
Yeah, I don't know what their
excited to clean
problem was
after
because that
us.
was a disgusting.
We
theater.
had to walk over a carpet of popcorn. There was like pizza boxes on
bad
our
news.
actual chairs. Like it was
Yeah.
the most disgusting movie theater.
Oh no. Okay, I was actually really disappointed that they didn't do a post-credits scene.
Yeah.
Because they've already been approved for a sequel because obviously it just dominated.
Right.
Like, yeah, their budget was 12 million. They, the analysts, I don't know who they are, but the analysts expected it to make, I want to say it was like 15 million opening weekend, and it blew that out of the water. It made 30 million its opening weekend. It is still sitting at over a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like it destroyed. And
No, they could have done something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously they did the little wink of like Elsie and stuff, but they had like the Kurt who had stolen the code. Like we know that the code
was uploaded,
likely shared or uploaded with other people. Like I feel like there were a lot of things they could have done to give us a little post credit.
Agreed.
What you might see, but whatever.
But
Agreed.
I definitely think we're going to get a sequel, and we'll have to go.
Oh yeah, it's approved. Like they're
I'm
doing
so
it.
excited.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
So this movie was originally rated R.
Okay.
So I've seen two things. One was after the trailer, because the trailer was released in I think October, like Halloween season.
Okay.
After the trailer came out and it went very TikTok viral, they realized that they should target teenagers. And so they had to cut a bunch of scenes to make it PG-13 instead of rated R.
I see.
And then another was that after they were editing, they realized they were kind of close to PG-13, so they edited it down. The writers, or one of the writers I saw, said it was originally way gorier and the death count was way higher. And I want to see that movie.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
They should release that.
it.
Please,
Yes,
for us older folks who can.
This is my formal petition.
Yes.
Please release it. I want to see
it. Amazing.
I want to see M3GAN murder 12 more people.
I want to see that therapist die.
Right?
Yeah, maybe she was one of them.
She has to have been. She has to have been.
I believe it.
And like I get it. Like financially, it probably makes more sense.
No,
like,
that's fair.
13 movie, like whatever. But like one of the
Throw a
writers
bone
worked
to
on
the
Saw.
kids.
I need to know what was it. I think he had worked on Saw, The Conjuring, and Insidious.
Yeah, okay, because I love all those movies, so I need to see
I know
this.
you had more in there.
We need that. We need
I need
it.
to see this.
Yeah, so I absolutely want to see that movie. Let's see. Do I have any more? Okay, that might be. Okay, I think that's all the fun facts.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's.
Yes.
Well, so I know that we weren't going to do This Time in History, but do we want to do like a little time capsule? This is what was big this year.
Oh, sure. Do you have some stuff?
I mean, I know this is January, so I figure we kind of.
I was gonna say,
I kind of
You
feel
know,
it's not long.
what's been big like 22 because it was filmed in 22, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. One more fun fact. I didn't really know that this was a thing, but I guess in kind of the theater business, you do not release movies the first week of January, like the first Friday.
I knew that.
Yeah, that's kind of the time where kind of the theory is that my gosh, why am I forgetting the name? like networks, companies, they kind of release the movies that they don't feel strongly about.
Oh,
So I think M3GAN is the first movie in 45 years to have a positive Rotten Tomatoes score after being released the first Friday of January.
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'd
which I thought
actually
was,
heard of
yeah.
this
I
before.
wonder if that's because like everyone goes out during Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, so they've all just seen a movie, so they're not going to
Yeah.
know the first.
And you're,
Totally.
you know, you've already spent for the holidays.
You're in
people
that
are kind of
post-holiday
watching
slump.
their budget and stuff.
Right.
I think it's, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why people don't go to the movies.
Mm.
So I think that's part of what made it so surprising how big of a
Interesting.
success it ended up being.
Cool.
But anyway. back
Yeah.
to
So
you.
Laura, give us a time capsule.
I mean, I just figure we could all like I can say a few things that but we also could just say if there's anything we can think of that's been big like over the past year.
Mhm.
So
We got Avatar, The Way of
got-
Water.
yes, Avatar. Wait. Oh yeah, that did come out. That came out
I think
on
it was
Brianna's
December.
birthday.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
The James Webb Telescope went into orbit.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Didn't the Queen die?
the Queen died.
Yep.
Queen died. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. So,
Oh yeah. So that's been
Ooh.
really fun.
Yep.
For
so I
everyone.
thought
Still
this
in
was like
mourning.
this time in history in the 50s, but I guess no.
Yeah.
Nope.
Current?
Yeah.
Year of our Lord 2023.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Bunch of school shootings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just not even school shootings, like school shootings
Just
plus
mass
You
shootings.
know, just
California.
shootings. Yeah.
Taylor Swift broke Ticketmaster.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Just to update anyone, I did
Oh,
not
yeah.
get tickets.
Oh,
I'm
dang
sorry.
it.
Dang
I was
it.
so ready, guys. I had the pre-sale. I was ready to go. I was ready to
Damn.
spend so much money. I jumped up right after. There were so many
dang
people in the
it.
queue. It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
I'm fine. But if you have extra tickets, just let me know. I'm
Yeah.
willing.
Reach out to us. That can be your Patreon.
Any price.
To us.
In Seattle, that would be great.
What else happened?
I don't know. This year was a blur. I got nothing.
Yeah.
It was a year.
Honestly, the last like 3 years.
Yeah, are all the same. Things happened.
Oh,
People died.
Someone mentioned that January of 2020 was 3 years ago, and I was like, no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It's like, what? Get out of here.
So
Go
time
home.
happened.
And then I realized, oh,
Like, no,
my
it was-
God. It
Yep.
was 3 years ago.
Yeah, like people born in 2000 are 23.
went to a child's birthday party the other day
Mhm.
and he was turning 5 and it was his first birthday party. And I was like, well, why was it his first birthday party? And they were like, well, because he was a toddler when the pandemic started. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, how weird. This child that I know his entire life has been in the pandemic.
It's been, yeah.
Like his memory up until now
that.
has been a pandemic.
Oh, no,
Wild.
it's so wild.
All right. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
Crazy.
some things happened. It was a rough year, but we got through
Yeah.
it.
I think we should
Yeah.
end on a positive note. So do you have any positives they'd like to throw out?
I don't.
I thought
No.
of something or I didn't think of it. I saw it on a list.
Okay.
Something positive that happened in 22, 23 was Corn Kid.
Okay, that's the
Went
note we're gonna
viral.
end it on. We got
It's
Corn
corn.
Kid.
There's a kid
It's
that really likes
corn.
corn and he's
Okay.
freaking adorable.
There we go.
Oh yeah, he got an ad with Chipotle, and I'm so
Good
happy
job,
for him.
I love
bud.
that
I'm
little
so
guy.
happy
Love.
for him.
I love that little guy.
All right. Well, I think that's a perfect note to end
That's
it
a fun one
on.
to end on.
So here on Spooky Sips, we don't give stars, we give sips. So ladies, out of 5 sips, how many sips are you giving this movie?
This one's tough. I didn't come up with my rating before.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm
Mhm.
going to give it a 4 sip, which for me, I don't tend to do the higher sips. Like for me, 3 and above is pretty damn good. It
Mhm.
wasn't a perfect movie because like
Mhm.
I like a little more gore, you
Mhm.
know, especially in a horror movie, but it was pretty damn close. So I loved this movie. It was
Yeah.
really enjoyable watching it. I've still thought about it after the fact. So it's 4 for me. 4
Mhm.
sips.
I'm right there with you. I give it a 4. I was thoroughly enjoying and invested the whole time in the movie. I also am a fan of like kind of cutesy things and humor, and this had that in addition to some horror. Um, I'm excited at the thought of the sequel. Like I
Yeah.
want to go
Yep.
watch it. So like I wasn't waiting for the movie to be over. I liked it
Mhm.
the whole time,
Mhm.
and I want to see the second one. So
Yep.
yeah, I give it
Yeah.
4.
Guys, I think we're in full agreement.
Oh
I think I'm
my
gonna go with a 4
gosh.
too.
That hasn't
Yeah,
happened
because
yet.
This is
honestly,
exciting.
I think this is just the perfect 4. It was enjoyable. I went into the movie with high hopes because I went after seeing the already really positive like
Mm.
scores and stuff.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know, man, can it really be that good? And yeah, I agree. I mean, it was an hour and 40 minutes long. And when the movie ended, I was like, you know what? If it was longer, I would have enjoyed it.
Yes.
You know?
Mhm.
I think it was a
Same.
solid 4. It was such a good experience watching it in theater and having everyone react. Like everyone reacted the same way,
Yes.
which
It
is
was
such
a
a
fun
fun
movie
thing.
theater
was a
movie.
fun-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
agree.
It was just a good experience. Oh my God.
Okay, we
solid 4.
all agree this was perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so next time on Spooky Sips, we're going to get really dark and watch the 2022 Barbarian. If you haven't seen this movie yet, I recommend you don't look anything up about it. Go into it blind and have a good time.
I'm so
Okay.
excited / terrified.
You should be terrified.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.
All right, sweet.
Nice. Thanks for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, subscribe, and leave a rating or review wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at SpookySips_podcast. Thanks again for listening. See you in 2 weeks for a new episode.